Look, my perspectives are fortified and my commentary gives jolts. So make sure you have your coffee of the month and your favorite mug to sip out of. Because I might say some things on this show that'll make you, take a few sips and think for a little bit. My friends know me as Kiki. For the rest of you, please put Miss in front of that. And please understand that the purpose of Cafe Commentary is to elevate and rise. So if it's not fortifying our lives for the betterment of ourselves, we have to change our elevation. Because life is not perfect and sometimes we have to shuffle through the BS to get to the real, you dig? Now look, the views on this show are my own and are not necessarily the views of Club Fortified and or its affiliates. So with everything I say or do on this show, it's assumptive because I stay in my own lane, honey, and actually don't know definitively. So please do your own research before you come for me and my opinions, okay? Now let's get this show started. My goodness. Good morning, beautiful people, and happy Easter. Welcome back to another soulful sip of cafe commentary where we keep it real, raw, and a little reflective. I'm your host, Miss Kiki, and today's show is something special, okay? It's Resurrection Sunday, y'all. Jesus is risen, and so are you. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It's time to rise, okay? And hopefully you've ordered your coffee of the month at clubfortified.com and one of our cute little, coffee mugs to sip out of because this month's show is giving jolts. So let's get into it. Look, today's lineup is packed with inspiration, what your dreams might be trying to tell you, how to stay positive even when life feels hard, building a fitness routine you'll actually stick with, and that good old reminder why comparison is the thief of joy. So let's dive in, y'all. Easter isn't just about past events, right, y'all? It's about present awakenings. Jesus rose so we could have hope, renewal, and a fresh start, even after pain, betrayal, and doubt, okay? Now, maybe you've been in a tough season. Maybe life hit harder than you expected. Okay, but here's your permission to rise anyway. At Club Fortified, one of our mottos is to actually elevate and rise. And when I think about the goodness of God, giving his only begotten son so that we may live, I think about him defeating criticisms, hate, lies, betrayal, and death. He is risen, y'all, okay? And we are his children, whether we believe it or not. And we have the opportunity in life to be renewed in every aspect of our lives, okay? Now, to simply put it, look, God is good, okay? So today, think about the renewing of your mind. Open yourself up to the good vibrations today on this Easter Sunday and trust in God's unchanging hand. Resurrection is personal. So today, ask yourself, what in my life needs resurrecting? Is it your peace? Your purpose? Is it your joy? Look, call into the show and let us know or comment below. So this right here actually leads me into our next topic. We're going to talk about some stuff. What your dreams might be trying to tell you. My goodness. Look, have you ever had a dream that felt so real that you feel like you weren't asleep? I'm talking about feeling every emotion, every physical touch. I'm talking about every smell that was in the dream. I'm going to tell you this, I have. But on the other side of that, I know that some of you don't dream. And I really dislike that for y'all. Because you may never have that, I think I've dreamed of this moment in your waking life. I'm talking about not the dream state. I'm talking about dream walking, y'all. Okay? Look, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deja vu, metaphors, and intuitions all at one time, okay? Now listen, I believe dreams are messages, whether it's God nudging us or our spirit, whispering truths. Don't ignore them. That's what I would say. Don't ignore them. Dreams can be symbolic, like being stuck in a house that looks like your childhood home, or or they can actually be clear cut, like a voice saying, he's not the one. And yes, I've had those dreams that later came true. And baby, look, I should have listened. So let's talk about some historical oddities about dreams as well. One of the examples is Abraham Lincoln's prophetic dream, right? Days before his assassination, Lincoln reportedly dreamed of a funeral in the White House. And when he was asked who died, a soldier replied, the president. Baby, that's bone chilling. My goodness, think about that. Being able to dream of your death before it happened. My God. And then let's talk about the benzene ring discovery. So it was a chemist. His name was August. I think it's August Kakul. But anyway, he discovered the structure of benzene after dreaming of a snake biting its own tail. Y'all ever seen that? Forming a ring, and this led to a breakthrough in organic chemistry. So imagine being able to dream of something that you could, discover, and it changes the world. You know what I'm saying? And then I know some of y'all don't know who Mark Twain is, but go look him up. But baby, look, Mark Twain's had a dream. He had a dream. Okay. Now, Twain had a dream where he saw his brother lying in a metal coffin surrounded by flowers, right? And then weeks later, his brother was killed in an explosion. And Twain saw the same scene in reality. Okay. So dreams can sometimes tell us or give us little hints into the future. And it's real, y'all. I have a short story about the way our dream may hint at our future as well. So look. Marie had always believed dreams were, nothing more than fleeting images of subconscious, until the night she saw a world that had not even happened. She stood in a bustling cityscape with towering glass buildings, streets lined with electric cars and floating advertisements, and she saw herself, aged and weary, staring out of a window, whispering a date, March 31st, 2050. When she woke, the details was burned into her mind. The strange part, it was the year 2025. And for weeks, she dismissed this dream until she saw a news paper reporting about groundbreaking, agricultural projects, right? Okay. And the structures matched what she had seen in her vision. As time passed, more pieces fell, into place, so to speak, for Marie. Technology, events, even fashion trends mirrored what she had already lived in her dream. And one night she dreamed again, but this time she was young, back in 2025, witnessing herself wake up from a dream of the future. A loop. You ever heard of a loop? Had she lived in the future first? Had her mind experienced what was yet to come before she even lived the present? She whispered to herself, if I know what is coming, can I change it? As she stared out her window, now in 2025, she realized that the answer was waiting for her in her dreams. Woo, baby, imagine that. That's a strong story, y'all. And I said all that to say, baby, pay attention to your dreams, because dreams remain one of life's greatest mysteries, right? Bridging the gap between the known and the unknown. Okay. Whether psychological reflections, supernatural messages or fragments of future events, they continue to captivate us. So look, what do your dreams tell you? If you ever woken up thinking that meant something, trust it. Keep a dream journal. We have journals that with matching coffee mugs over at clubfortified.com. Pray over it and ask God to reveal to you what your dreams are telling you. Okay? Sometimes your dreams see what your eyes can't get. I hope they didn't catch you. Or I hope you caught that joke. I hope it didn't pick you up and slam you on the ground like a piece of lightning. But catch that joke, okay? Listen, I'm gonna say that again. Pray over it and ask God to reveal what your dreams are telling you, okay? Because sometimes your dreams see what your eyes can't yet. Like I say, catch that joke, baby. One thing about me, baby, I'm going to make the best out of every situation and let my little light shine. Because life is too short and blessed to be stressed. You hear me? And we have to keep in mind that life is truly what we make it. So positivity is a necessity, even when life feels hard. You dig? Look, I'm going to give y'all an example. Y'all, I was homeless before, okay? I'm talking about I didn't know where my next meal would come from and if I was going to live the next day. You hear me? Okay, so look, I would get the misconception from others that you're homeless, so, you must do drugs, or you're homeless, so you must have a criminal record. No, baby, look, I was actually homeless because I couldn't afford anything, okay? All my income went to bills, food, and look, bills, okay? But I said all that to say this. I found out that in my time of need, some people who I helped, they would kick me while I was down. They couldn't help me, you know? And as a matter of fact, some of those same people would try to talk about me as well while I was down. You know what I'm saying? They do me dirty. But when I was down, through it all, I stayed faithful to God. I ain't gonna even lie to you. And I had to stay also true to myself, my morals, my character. I smiled when I was sad. I laughed when I was, not happy. And I comforted others in their time of uncomfort, even when I myself was in an uncomfortable state. Why do you ask? Look, because I knew, even in a state of need, that my struggles didn't need pity, okay? I needed a renewed mindset that would afford me to relinquish the spirit of poverty. Yeah, because one of my most important lessons in life was to know that, I could actually let go and let God. You hear me? And to tell you the truth, it's easier said than done. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Life can be very hard, regardless of if you're rich or poor, okay? Your socioeconomic status actually has the output of your mindset and your works, okay? Look, see, faith without works is dead. And that's in the Bible. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, one of y'all need to hear this. For those in the back that need to hear this. I need y'all to step forward so you can hear. Look, I'm not a preacher or an evangelist, but, this is a word for someone that should receive this. This is a jolt. I want it to go from your head to your feet in your spirit. You hear what I'm saying? Put into action what you want. You hear what I'm saying? What you need. By faith in God, by working on the thing, that situation, or, or whatever it is you're trying to work on at one day at a time. You hear me? And keep going. Don't give up. Oh, Lord have mercy. Look, staying positive doesn't mean being fake. It means believing in light, even when you're sitting in the dark. So look, try this. Look, shift your language. Instead of I'm stuck, say I'm in transition. Affirm your strengths. You've already survived 100% of your worst days, okay? That's not luck. That's resilience. So guess what? Trust in God. Lean into gratitude. Find that good thing, even if it's just, I woke up. And do a mind shift change that makes a difference. And I'm going to give you an example. You can reframe challenges as opportunities, okay? Look, instead of viewing obstacles as roadblocks, see them as lessons. Challenges often, present opportunities for growth and self-discovery. When you shift your mindset from why is this happening to me to what can I learn from this, you empower yourself to take control of the situation and find, new solutions. I'm going to give you an example. Let's just say you lost your job. You could feel a major setback, but it can also be a push forward, or towards a passion or upgrading your skill or finding a more fulfilling career path. You feel me? And then you can also focus on what you can control. Look, when life feels chaotic, it's easy to dwell on those things that are out of your control. Instead, do me a favor. Shift your focus on what you can influence. You hear me? This helps you regain a sense of stability and direction. For example, like if you're facing a health challenge, right? Instead of worrying about the diagnosis, focus on making healthier choices, following medical advice, and surrounding yourself with that support. Okay? And then another thing, Practice gratitude daily. Like I always say, we have journals to practice gratitude. You can write about that, right? Even in the difficult moment, there's always something to be grateful for, right? Practicing gratitude shifts your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right. Keeping a gratitude journal or simply making that moment to acknowledge, the good in life can improve your overall mindset because it's all about the mindset. And even on tough days, you can appreciate a kind of gesture from a friend like a warm cup of coffee, a warm cup of tea, or the simple fact that you have another day to keep going. Ooh, my God. Pay attention. Look, positivity isn't ignoring the storm. It's dancing in it with soaked hair and a smile that says, this won't break me. Man, look, come on, you got it. This segment of the show will be real quick because even with spirituality, we still need a fitness routine, okay? Look, we all start strong in January, but by April, child, look, that gym card is collecting dust, honey. And so here's a good joke that, we all could use. Quick thought. Start where you are. Walking counts, dancing in the kitchen, dancing in your living room, and attach it to a vibe, baby. Make a playlist, wear cute gear. You know what I'm saying? Light a candle, set the mood. We have candles at Club Fortified with some amazing scents. Make it joyful, not punishment. Your body deserves love, not shame. And remember, small steps lead to big wins, okay? 10 minutes a day turns into a glow up. Glow up, baby. And that's all I have to say about that. Because look, there's an article, about this on Club Fortified on the Fortified Living blog at clubfortified.com. Okay. So go read it. And if you like to discuss it more in detail, holla at me. And really, I briefly touched on that so that I could talk about this next situation. Why comparison is a thief of joy and how to stop it. And let's get real. Social media will have you out here feeling behind, honey. But remember this, comparison is a thief, okay? It steals your peace, your pride and your progress. And you're not behind, you are becoming. Remember that. And some people post highlight reels, but you're living the real. And that's more than beautiful, filters and fake smiles. So look, let's talk about 3 ways to stop comparing yourself to others, okay? I would say limit social media consumption, right? Social media often showcases only the best moments of people's lives, not the struggles behind the scenes. And if scrolling leaves you feeling some type of way, inadequate, just take a break or create your news feed on your social media account to follow accounts, that inspire rather than, trigger comparison, right? And then we can practice gratitude daily. Yeah. When we focus on what we have instead of, what we lack, our mindset shifts from probably envy to appreciation, okay? So we can keep a gratitude journal and list 3 things that we're thankful for, every day to build a habit of positivity. And we have gratitude journals at clubfortified.com if you want to get into that. And then also, you need to remind yourself that everyone's journey is different. We're all not the same, baby. We're unique in every way, and that's what makes us special. Remember that. So success isn't a one-size-fit-all path, okay? What works for someone else may not be the right fit for you. And that's okay. Look, focus on your own progress and celebrate small wins along the way, okay? And how do we do that? How do we focus on, our own path without jealousy or self-doubt? Well, look, first thing first. We can set our own personal goals that align with our own values. Look, instead of chasing what others have, define what success means to you, right? Set goals that reflect your personal ambitions and your strengths rather than, what seems impressive to others. Yeah. Don't be showing out you can't keep up with the Joneses, baby. And celebrate your progress, not just the end result. Success is a journey, not just a destination. Remember that. And I'll say that again for those in the back who can't hear. I said success is a journey, not just a destination, baby. So look, keep track of your progress and acknowledge how far you've come rather than only focusing on where, you want to be. Okay, congratulate yourself in the moment, baby. And then also surround yourself with supportive people. Being around people who are uplifting and can encourage you, right? Positive, like-minded individuals will inspire you to focus on your own path, rather than comparing yourself to others, right? So look, here's your reminder. Your path, it's sacred. Stay in your own lane and watch how joy finds you again, baby. Stop comparing yourself to others. My goodness, today, this Easter, let the message be simple. Let's rise from old mindsets, from fear, from the not enough lies. Let's elevate. We're becoming who we were always meant to be. One step, one dream, one bold move at a time, and that's through the grace of God. So look, thanks for spending this resurrection morning with me. I'm Miss Kiki, and this is your cafe commentary where we sip slow, think deep, and glow forward. So glow up, y'all. Until next time, stay strong, stay soft, and stay fortified. Thank you for joining.
Another great show for the record books. Thanks for listening. Discover the perfect blend of flavor and conversation. Download our drink recipe of the month, featuring a creative twist on coffee, and elevate your mornings with our premium coffee of the month, crafted for true coffee lovers at clubfortified.com. Don't forget to tune in every third Sunday of each month for the Cafe Commentary Show, where Ms. Kiki shares her thought-provoking perspectives on trending topics. Sip, savor, and connect at Club Fortified, your ultimate destination for coffee and conversation and life hacks to help you elevate and rise.